When I worked at guest services, I kept a list. Not an official one, just a small notebook where I wrote down every cabin complaint that came across my desk. After 8 years on cruise ships, that notebook told a very clear story. The same cabin numbers appeared over and over again. The same problems, the same frustrated passengers, the same apologies from me. Cabin 742 on one ship appeared so many times I lost count. Every single week, someone new checked in, and every single week, they ended up at my desk looking exhausted and disappointed. And here's the part that still bothers me. Those cabins are still being sold today. The cruise lines know exactly which rooms have issues, but they will never tell you. Why would they? Every cabin generates revenue, regardless of whether the passenger inside is happy or miserable. That is why I am telling you instead. Today, I am sharing 10 secrets about picking the perfect cruise cabin that most passengers learn the hard way. These are the things crew members know, the things we whisper to our friends and family before they book, the things that separate a dream vacation from 7 nights of regret. If you are planning a cruise and want to actually enjoy your vacation, stay with me until the end. Because secret number 10 is the one thing that separates passengers who love their cabin from those who spend the whole cruise wishing they had chosen differently. Let me start with a mistake I saw more than any other. Passengers would book a cabin based purely on price, without ever looking at what was directly above or below their room. This sounds so simple, but it ruined more vacations than I can count. Picture this. A retired couple books an interior cabin on deck 6. Great price. Seems like a good deal. What they do not realize is that deck 7 directly above them houses the pool deck. Every morning at 5:30, the crew starts dragging lounge chairs across the floor to set up for the day. By 6, early risers are already claiming spots, dropping bags, scraping furniture. That couple wanted to sleep until 8. Instead, they woke up every single morning to what sounded like a furniture factory above their heads. The same thing happens with cabins below the buffet. Every time a chair moves, every dropped tray, every rolling cart, you hear it. And cabins above the theater or nightclub are even worse. Imagine trying to sleep while a live band plays until midnight directly beneath your bed. The bass travels right through the floor. Here is what smart cruisers do instead. Before you book anything, pull up the deck plan on the cruise line website. Look at your chosen cabin, and then look one deck up and one deck down. If you see a pool, a restaurant, a bar, a gym, or any entertainment venue, move on to a different cabin. The extra 5 minutes of research can save you 7 nights of misery. I always tell people to imagine the worst possible scenario for each location. What happens above a gym at 6 in the morning when the fitness enthusiasts start dropping weights? What happens below a pool bar at 11 at night when the party crowd is 3 drinks in? If you would not want to hear that noise, do not book that cabin. Now let me tell you about something most people never consider until they are already on board feeling seasick. Where your cabin sits along the length of the ship matters enormously. Cabins at the very front and very back of the ship experience the most motion. When the ship hits waves, the bow rises and falls dramatically. The stern swings side to side. If you have ever been seasick, or even if you just want to minimize that rocking sensation, midship cabins are your best friend. The center of the ship acts like a pivot point. There is still movement, but it is far less dramatic than what passengers at either end experience. I cannot tell you how many times guests came to my desk asking to switch cabins because they felt like they were on a roller coaster. And almost every single time, they had booked a forward or aft cabin trying to get a better view or a lower price. One woman told me she spent 3 days in her cabin unable to eat because the motion made her so ill. She had booked the very front of deck 4, right where the bow cuts through the water. The view is not worth it if you spend the whole cruise feeling nauseous. If you are prone to motion sickness or this is your first cruise and you do not know how your body will react, book midship on a middle deck. You can always try more adventurous locations on future cruises once you know your sea legs. Here is a secret that sounds counterintuitive, but trust me on this one. Being close to the elevator is not always a good thing. Yes, it seems convenient. You are steps away from getting anywhere on the ship. But elevators on cruise ships are busy around the clock. Doors opening and closing, people talking, that little ding every time it arrives. At 2 in the morning when a group comes back from the casino, you will hear every single laugh and conversation right outside your door. The same goes for cabins near stairwells. Cruise ship stairs have heavy fire doors that slam shut constantly. These doors are designed for safety, not silence, and they close with a thud you can feel through the walls. I have seen passengers who booked what they thought was a premium location end up requesting white noise machines from guest services just to sleep through the traffic. One couple told me they counted over 40 door slams in a single hour during peak times. My advice is to find a cabin that is close enough to the elevator for convenience, but at least 10 or 15 doors down the corridor. You get easy access without the noise penalty. This is especially important if you are over 60 or have any mobility concerns. You want reasonable walking distance, but not front row seats to the hallway highway. This next secret catches even experienced cruisers off guard. Not all cabins in the same category are created equal. You might book a standard balcony cabin thinking you know exactly what you are getting. But here is the truth. Some balcony cabins have full-sized balconies with room for 2 chairs and a table. Others in the exact same price category have what I call a Juliet balcony. Barely enough room to stand sideways. The difference can be 30 square feet or more, and yet the price is identical. The same variation exists with interior cabins. Some are surprisingly spacious with clever storage solutions and room to actually move around. Others feel like a closet with a bed shoved inside. This happens because ships are designed with odd angles and structural requirements that create different cabin footprints even within the same category. The hull curves, support columns take up space, and certain locations end up with bonus square footage while others get squeezed. The cruise line charges the same price, but the experience can be completely different. Before you book, search online for reviews of your specific cabin number. Cruise review websites have thousands of passengers who have posted photos and measurements showing exactly what each cabin looks like. A few minutes of research reveals which cabins in your category are the hidden gems and which ones you should avoid at all costs. Now I need to warn you about something that affects families and light sleepers especially. Connecting doors between cabins seem like a great feature when you are traveling with a group. But if you are not traveling with a group, that connecting door becomes a noise portal straight into your neighbor's room. These doors are not soundproof, not even close. I have heard passengers complain about hearing their neighbors snoring, watching television, and having loud conversations as if they were in the same room. If your cabin has a connecting door and you are not using it, you are essentially sharing a wall with a built-in weak point. When booking, look for cabins without connecting doors if you value your peace and quiet. The deck plan usually indicates which rooms have this feature. Avoid them unless you specifically need them for your own travel group. Let me share something about balcony cabins that the glossy brochures conveniently leave out. Not all balcony views are created equal. Some balcony cabins are listed as obstructed view, and the cruise line actually tells you this up front. But the obstruction can range from a small lifeboat in the corner of your sightline to a massive chunk of equipment blocking 80% of your view. I have seen passengers pay premium prices for a balcony cabin, only to discover their entire ocean view was blocked by a giant white lifeboat hanging at eye level. They could see the water if they leaned way over to one side, but forget about sitting in a chair and enjoying the horizon. One gentleman told me he felt like he was in prison looking through a tiny window. Even worse are the cabins on lower decks where the promenade walkway passes right by your balcony. You think you have private outdoor space, but passengers stroll past all day long, looking right into your room. Some people wave, some people stare, and privacy becomes impossible. Check photos and reviews for your specific cabin before booking any balcony. What looks like a great deal might come with a view you definitely did not expect or want. This next secret involves areas of the ship you will never see as a passenger, but will definitely hear if you are unlucky enough to be next to them. Every cruise ship has crew areas, service corridors, galleys, laundry facilities, and mechanical spaces hidden throughout the vessel. These areas operate around the clock because the ship never sleeps, and some passenger cabins sit directly next to these busy zones. I remember one gentleman who came to guest services absolutely furious on his second morning. He had booked what he thought was a quiet cabin at the end of a hallway, paying extra for what seemed like a premium corner location. What he did not know was that a crew service door was right around the corner behind a wall. All night long, crew members passed through that door, which slammed shut with a heavy metal clang every single time. Carts rolled through delivering supplies. Voices echoed through the thin walls. He paid for a peaceful retreat and got a front-row seat to the ship's backstage operations instead. The deck plan does not always show these service areas clearly because cruise lines prefer you do not think about them. Your best defense is reading reviews from passengers who stayed in nearby cabins. They will tell you about any hidden noise sources the cruise line conveniently forgot to mention in their glossy marketing material. Now let me explain why guarantee cabins can be a gamble you do not want to take, especially if cabin quality matters to you. When you book a guarantee cabin, you are telling the cruise line to assign you any room in a particular category. You might get a great cabin with extra space and a perfect location. Or you might get the exact problem cabin that shows up in my complaint notebook over and over again, week after week. Cruise lines use guarantee bookings to fill their least desirable inventory. That cabin under the pool deck that keeps getting complaints? Guess where the guarantee bookings often end up? If price is your absolute top priority, and you truly do not care where you sleep, a guarantee cabin can save money. But if cabin quality matters to you at all, spend the extra few dollars to choose your own room. The peace of mind is worth it. Here is something interesting about aft cabins that divides cruisers into two camps. Cabins at the very back of the ship often come with larger balconies and stunning wake views. You can watch the ocean trail behind the ship for miles. Sounds amazing, right? But these cabins also sit closer to the engines and propulsion systems. Some passengers find the vibration soothing, almost like white noise. Others find it maddening, a constant low hum that makes relaxation impossible. The aft cabins also experience more motion in rough seas, swinging side to side as the stern moves with the waves. If you have never stayed in an aft cabin before, you are taking a chance on whether you will love it or hate it. Consider a midship cabin for your first cruise, then try aft on a future voyage once you know how you respond to ship motion and engine vibration. Before I share the final secret, make sure you hit that subscribe button if you want more insider cruise tips, and drop a comment telling me about the worst cabin experience you have ever had. I read every single comment, and your story might help another traveler avoid the same mistake. Now here is secret number 10, and this is the most important one of all. Never trust the default cabin assignment. When you book through a travel agent or directly through the cruise line website, there is often a suggested cabin or an automatically assigned room. These defaults are not chosen with your comfort in mind. They are chosen based on inventory management, what the cruise line wants to sell, not what you actually want to experience. Take control of your own booking. Pull up the deck plan yourself. Apply everything I have shared today. Check what is above and below. Look for midship locations. Avoid elevators and service areas. Research your specific cabin number for reviews and photos. The passengers who do this homework consistently report better experiences than those who just accept whatever cabin the system assigns. I spent 8 years watching the difference between prepared